Now let's talk about how trees grow. So you have noticed, that trees come in all different shapes and sizes, and it's pretty interesting how they grow. The truth is that hormones in those trees are what make those shapes. So for instance, what makes a tree be like a redwood tree? Here it is. A redwood tree that is pointed like this and has large branches at the bottom, but very few as they go up and up. What makes a tree have a round shape like an oak tree? So it's hormones. And one of the things that I want you to know is that a straight tree like this that has a single leader, a single point, there are hormones being produced by that growing tip that suppress all the other branches from growing. And the further away from that tip, the less that suppression is happening, so these branches grow wider, and it makes that beautiful symmetrical shape. This particular tree, the one with the round head, doesn't have very strong apical dominance, meaning tip-pointed dominance, and so it allows the side branches to come out at equal rates, and it makes a rounded shape. I hope everybody kind of gets that idea. A palm tree actually only has one real growing point, and that is at the very top. And so if you were to cut this palm tree back, severe heading cut, right? You would have a stump forever. There is no more growing points. That's it. So the reason I'm saying this is that when you're pruning, you want to know what's going to happen if you make a certain cut. So if you were to cut the top or the tip, even the little part of the tip of this redwood tree, immediately something would happen. So you no longer have that hormone setting out, suppressing the rest. And so other shoots are going to start growing, usually right near the top, because they're at the top. I mean, that's how it works. So you will lose the beautiful shape of that redwood tree, and you're then probably going to have maybe 2 leaders, a split leader, which will not be a good shape for that tree either. Okay, enough said about that. If you have more questions about that, we'll kind of get to that later. But I will demonstrate more of this on these branches that I brought. Okay, so now it's important to know where the roots are, and that's not easy because you can't see them. They're under the ground. Now, we always learned, when I went to college, I always learned that all the roots were at the drip line. That's where you should water. You should water right under the drip line. So the drip line is the edge of the outer growing leaves, and that this is where all the roots are, right here in a circle around the drip line. Not near the trunk, but all around the drip line. Well, it turns out not really true. If you were to imagine a wine glass on a plate, you'd have a better understanding of where those roots really are. They are far away from the tree. This has a lot of implications for how to water a tree. It doesn't really help to water a mature tree around the trunk because that's not where the feeder roots are. And there's a lot of feeder roots, I would say, in most trees in the top 12 inches of the soil, maybe the top 18 inches. And yet what keeps that tree from falling is that they have sinker roots. And it's not just here. There will be sinker roots here and here in different places. And those sinker roots are what hold that tree in place. And the feeder roots are the ones that are mostly in the surface. That is not true for every tree, but this is a generalization that you can kind of consider is true. So I just want you to keep this in mind. Okay, now, where does new growth occur on a tree? Now, suppose you have a tree here. Here you have a tree. I'll show you. Here you have a tree. Okay, you have a tree. And right here, you carve your name, right? 10 years or 50 years from now, where will that be? So, right answer, exactly right here. Now the trunk will be much, much wider, but that carving will be exactly in the same spot. And this is a really important point that is not intuitive, and a lot of people don't know this. And so they think, oh, if you cut a branch, that branch is going to move. If you don't cut a branch, that branch is going to move up, but it never does. It always stays right there. So these are really, I think, like really basic things to start to understand. So this is central leader tree training. Suppose you want a tree that you do want it to grow taller and then eventually have a big canopy. Then if you have a lot of branches, you're going to take some of them out, but not all of them out. A very basic thing that you would probably do would be to leave some going in sort of each direction. And you don't want too many coming from the exact same spot. And we'll talk about why that is.